Hi everybody. For anybody that's rewatching this, I don't have anybody up yet. I'm gonna wait a few minutes, get some people on here, and then I'll get started. Facebook. I'm just sharing this video on my Facebook, my personal Facebook, so that I can get more people to come on. Hello. I'm just getting everything ready, waiting for some people to come on. Go ahead and say hello in the comments, so I know you're here. Just trying to share. Hi, Rose. I'm glad you're joining us. Or me. I'm all by myself. I'm just trying to share this live video on my Facebook page. Okay, too far. All right. Who's excited? Go ahead and just say hello when you come in. I know that's Julie because I know her. Oh, last week I actually didn't have a live. My daughter had a play. I actually think you might have commented on that. Yeah, she played Grace Farrell in the Annie play at her elementary school. So, pretty cool. But I'm just getting this shared. I'm going to try to wait for some people to hop on here, and then I'll get started. My computer takes forever, but I do have internet. It went great. It went great. Everybody looked great. I love watching the kids do these things. They spent from, I want to say she tried out or she auditioned for her part in January, and then they started doing their rehearsals in February. So they've been practicing since February, and then the end of May they actually had their performance. They did it for school and they did it for parents. So it was kind of cool. Alright, I'm closing that down because I don't like watching myself. Hi, Melanie. Just waiting for some people to come on, hop on, and hi, Chad. I have a whole, oh, I will, Rose. Thank you. She's right now. I just spent most of the day cleaning her room. I don't know what it is about little girls in their bedrooms, but oh my Lord, slime is like the devil's creation. Homemade slime. Hi, Diane. Glad everybody's joining us today. But yeah, so I've been cleaning my daughter's bedroom all day, and now she is cleaning up all of her slime containers, which there's like 50 of them. How in the world did she have that many slimes? I have no idea. Hi, Bobby Sue. I'm actually going to get started just talking about some of our stuff that we have going on. Antietam Paranormal Society, and today I'm actually I'm supporting Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. I got this t-shirt way back when we did the celebrity weekend. Hi, Sharon. But anyways, we are obviously, everybody probably knows by now, we are doing a ghost hunt at the John Brown Raid headquarters, which is in Sharpsburg. And right behind John Brown, there's also a building called the Chitlin Circuit Building. I talked about that the last time I think I had a live and gave you a little bit of history, which I'm hoping to be able to share that on Thursdays as we get closer to September. But right now, we're doing a raffle. So you can go on our website. I've shared the link a couple times, but I'll share it again in a little bit. You can actually purchase raffle tickets online. It is $2 for one and $5 for 3 of them. All of the funds will go to the John Brown Historical Trust, who take care of the cabin. So every little dime that goes towards it goes towards restoration and maintenance of the facilities. So go on there, purchase a raffle ticket. You could get 2 tickets to go to our ghost hunt, and we're only selling like 12 tickets. So it is going to be a very kind of, you know, there's not going to be a lot of people there. That's exciting. That's huge. But the cabin is very small. There's only 2 stories, well, 1.5. No, this is the same one. We just haven't drawn it yet. Hi, Pam. We haven't drawn it yet. So, we're just going to continue it so we can get more people to enter to win those 2 tickets. But we're going to draw it on Friday, tomorrow, at noon. So you have some time. Hi, Scott. You have plenty of time then to draw a ticket for me, you know, to purchase a ticket for me to draw your ticket by noon tomorrow. So you have all night and into tomorrow to purchase a raffle ticket, which is awesome because it's $100 savings there. Tickets are going to be going for $50 per person. This is a huge location. There's lots to do there. Very open, and it's not like we have 2 buildings going on. You won't hear each other if you're in the cabin or you're in the Chitlin Circuit building. So it's awesome. Hi, Joel. But today, you know, getting on with that, today we're talking about, is it really paranormal? So I had asked a couple questions to some of my friends, what they thought we should talk about today. And I didn't really know what to talk about. So first I'm going to go through, hi John, I'm going to go through what people asked me to talk about. And I don't know that that's going to take up a full hour or not, but we'll see. Chris Davis asked, how does a team make the decision to investigate after being contacted? So I'm going to tell you how we decide. It really kind of depends on the location. If they have, hi Sandy, if they have enough activity, I would say runs, you know, all the different types, audible, visual, and maybe even physically touched. Each one of those is actually checked off. That's when I would say for sure we investigate. I like clients sometimes to do journalize like their activity in their home so that we know what's going on and when's a good time to go in. Because, you know, sometimes it might, you know, it might happen every once in a while. There may be time frames that is definitely more active that we need to be in there. So I don't make the decision to go into a location until, say, I get a call from the client, like really freaked out that he heard somebody run down his stairs. So that was actually just a recent case we had. Kind of was like, you know, we ought to get in there soon to see what's happening in this house and make sure we can help him out. Hey, Chris. Julie's back. So I would say that's the best decision, you know. Chris, I'm actually answering your question. How does a team make the decision to investigate after being contacted? I just said, you know, I like to see all the different types of activity checked off. I mean, if they only have, you know, oh, well, we heard door slam. I don't know. You know, if they have something physically moved, maybe. But I think it would take a little bit for us to say, let's see what happens over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll make the decision to investigate. And, I mean, honestly, APS has been pretty busy with private cases, so it's not like we can go and investigate every weekend. To me, it's not feasible. I don't feel that anybody, any group should do that, because you really have to spend some time going through your audio, your video, and analyzing all the data you get. And if you're going to tell me that it only takes you, you know, a week to get through that, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Unless you're doing it 24/7, and I don't see how that's possible either. I'm going to move on to the next question that was brought up. Most bizarre incidents, experiments, and results. I'm not sure. What are our most bizarre incidents? Okay. When we, yes, it does. I always give our cases 4 weeks. I tell them 4 weeks is the max. If you don't hear from me, then, you know, contact me back. But 4 weeks is usually that's how long it should take. But anyways, bizarre incident. The Masonic Temple here in Hagerstown, which is no longer being used for a Masonic temple. It was sold and is being used for offices. They're renovating it for that purpose. when we were the first team to ever investigate the building, and we first went in that night. We did a walkthrough, and we did baseline readings of every area in the entire building. We had found out that before we went in, hey Heather, hey Susie, before we went into the Masonic Temple, one of the first things that had happened was their furnace blew up. So, I mean, you don't normally, like, you know, this just seems like a coincidence that the furnace blew up before we went in. And it happened right after, I believe, a meeting that they were having. They were discussing the fact that we were coming in that weekend, or like a weekend after or something like that. It was like within 2 weeks of us going. So their furnace blew, but the weird thing was they said there was a piece of wood on top of it, and if that piece of wood had not been there, the top of the furnace would have blown up through the floor or the ceiling above, and it did not do that. So that was the first thing. The second thing that happened was their elevator. The morning that we were supposed to go in, the elevator stopped on the first floor and wouldn't work again. So they could not get it to work. And when we went in, then of course, you know, it's a pretty significant size building, so we couldn't use the elevator, which I'll tell you straight up, Antietam Paranormal Society should not use elevators. We did the Dagmar in Hagerstown, and 3 of our investigators got stuck in an elevator. So it's just not a good idea for us to use elevators to begin with. So that was the second thing that happened before we even went into the location. Third thing happened when we were actually doing our baselines. I want to say Jeremy was in the dressing room area, and which is above the stage in the auditorium. It's one of the most active areas in the building. We were up there, me and another investigator, Kat, who used to be part of the team. We were doing baseline readings in the dressing room, and Jeremy and a couple of the guys were up in this little attic area that's above it. And one of our other investigators like radioed us and said, hey, this light down here is on fire. It had just burnt a little bit of the end of a 24-hour emergency light that was right outside of the elevator that went to the parking garage off of the Masonic Temple. So at that point, it was like, by the time we got all of that figured out, it was about 11:30 at night. And we were trying to decide whether or not we really wanted to stay there. Because I don't know about you, but no, it wasn't. And it is an awesome place to investigate, or was. I don't know about you, but after having 3 things like that happen, you really kind of question, should we be here? Is there something in this building that is preventing us or wanting us not to investigate? Obviously, we asked some questions, and we did get some responses that night that kind of led towards maybe these spirits were trying to do things to prevent, but I don't know how. You know, it's been so long since I've looked at that stuff. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's very interesting to me. It was a bizarre incident. All of it was. Experiment wise, I think the most bizarre one is actually one that we're getting ready to do. I don't know if you guys have actually heard of the Philip experiment, and it's basically about a group of people in the 70s created a fictional character. Basically, they created this person. Yeah, the gentleman that said that he may have been trying to stop us, was a chaplain at the Masonic Temple. But the Philip experiment is actually creating a fictional character, and you can actually use some factual historical information to include it, but the person is in fact not supposed to have anything to do with them that's actually real. So you make up a name, you make up a date of birth, you make up everything, and you're asking questions specifically to try to get responses from this, you know, spirit that you're creating. And they did this experiment. I don't remember the name right off the top of my head, but I think their experiment was inconclusive. but we want to see if we can create one of these mental manifestations like a tulpa and get responses. Our question right now is, how many of these, you know, famous locations that people go to time and time again are creating tulpas or mental manifestations based on inaccurate information they're receiving from their equipment? So, you know, going into a location and, you know, getting the name Robert come across the spirit box, and you're using the name Robert, and all of a sudden you're asking these questions and you're getting responses that you think are the spirit's responses. But what if they're not? And what if over time, you know, you're giving this information to other investigators that are going into this location over and over? So Robert becomes more, yes, like Slenderman. So Robert becomes more than just a spirit you're trying to talk to. It's a spirit that you've created. And that is what we want to do. We are trying to do that in one area of the warehouse that is not used. But obviously we have to have somebody like Sharon, who once we're done with this, we can try to get rid of it. I know it's kind of like playing with a Ouija board. You just never know what might happen. That is kind of bizarre and it's weird. So if it works, it's going to be very interesting. We have to do a lot of previous, you know, prior data so that we can get excellent control information of the location without us doing anything. We have to make sure the area doesn't have anything, you know, any activity or anything with it, so that we can definitely know what we're getting is what we're attempting to create. Ken Suminski, one of our best paranormal buddies, is asking what the pitfalls of only seeking fame in the paranormal field are. I don't know, because I've never actually done it. I do not want to be famous. Exactly, Rose. Exactly. I've never seeked to have fame. You know, to me, a byproduct of doing this kind of stuff is having people say, wow, you know, she's done her work. I'm okay with that. I don't want to be on, hi, Howie. I don't want to be on TV. I think to me, it's, you're attempting to get people to watch. So there's a point in time where you may be pushed to do things that aren't really ethically or morally right for a person in the paranormal field. So a push to fame sometimes could mean that you sacrifice people that are, you know, your friends, that could be valuable assets to researching the paranormal. And ultimately, once you get fame, what happens? You know, everybody knows who you are, but you're a paranormal investigator. So ultimately, you've only been on TV for that purpose. And most people can be a paranormal investigator. I won't say everybody can, because it's not for everybody. I just don't think it's, you know, what's the point of being famous in the paranormal field? I'm not entirely certain. Hi, Michelle. Hope you're feeling better. But I mean, if you guys have any comments about that, about, you know, pitfalls of only seeking fame, I mean, really, to me, I don't really want to, I lost my train of thought. I don't want to see people just doing this for that, because it's just, what's the point? I mean, if you're not doing research, there's a good point. If you're out there and you're trying to be famous, it may be that the information that you've had is not really accurate. So I've been doing this for 10 years. Is every person that's on TV or, you know, doing their documentaries, does everybody have that experience that could really, you know, give the right information out there? So once you're famous, what is your purpose? Is your purpose to spread knowledge? Or is your purpose just to be popular? I don't care. Go. So like I said, if anybody has any comments on that, or, you know, whatever. Those are just my views. I don't want to be on TV. Camera adds about 50 pounds, not 20 or 10. I don't like listening back to my voice. You won't ever see me rewatch these videos. They freak me out. I can't even imagine seeing my doppelganger. No thanks. Moving on. Sue asked or said, not everyone feels or senses spirits when they investigate. And that's very true. I will say that a lot of people over the years, if you investigate a lot, you can kind of get a sense for where activity is in a building. It's almost like intuition. It's not necessarily like an intuition, like a psychic ability. It's just you go in a location and you're like, yep, this is where we need to set up. But not everybody has that. Some people are what they call like muggles. They just don't have, they don't have that ability. They can't sense spirits. Sure, Howie, I will. They can't sense spirits. They can't tell you like, oh yeah, there's something in here. And there's nothing wrong with that. I see a lot of people like really pushing, you know, I want to be psychic. I want to know what's happening. I want to talk to these things. And I'll be honest, I've always had an intuitive ability, but when you actually connect with the spirit of something that is past or of things that are not, or not ever been human, you really have to rethink that. There's a lot to consider if you want to be, you know, you have a psychic ability, because you run the risk of being able to see it. And once you see it, you can't not see it. It's always there. It is, Sharon. And after seeing you, I mean, I love the fact that I can do some things, but I would never want the responsibility, because it's kind of scary. I always worry that, you know, what if I just tell somebody the wrong thing? And I don't know. It's just, I'm not really a people person either. So I can't just go out there and be like, hey, you have somebody standing next to you. I think it's your grandma. I don't know if I could do that. I would feel so odd. But Sharon does it like a champ. She's amazing. She has the best energy, and she just, it's awesome. It's awesome. So like I said, it's not a bad thing if you don't have those abilities, or you can't. Use what you can and learn. Use your mind to create experiments, or to, set standards in the paranormal. You don't have to be a psychic to do great things. I mean, just use your mind in other ways. Let's see. IPR Tennessee said something about perception. Now, I'm not entirely certain what they mean by perception, but I'm going to push it towards the original topic of tonight. Is it really paranormal? Your perception is everything. Perception of the events on an investigation, perception of sight, sounds, feels, temperature, your perception of looking at a photograph, your perception of your equipment and the results from your equipment, your perception of recreating any experiences that you may have. I think a lot of people don't really use objectivity when they look at their results. It's like, oh, we got a name, so immediately it's, you know, you really have to go back and study it more than once to make sure that what you've got is really what you think you've gotten. And have more than one person look at it. I usually have my husband look at stuff or listen to stuff, and he's kind of a jerk when he listens to audio. He throws out like everything because he can't hear it, which maybe he just can't hear it. There are some things that I capture that I can hear that nobody else can hear. I don't know if it's because I have good hearing, or maybe I'm just crazy. Who knows? My kids are coming in one by one. Well, yes. Oh, everybody, just a squirrel break. Here's Louis, the famous Louis, and his famous tail. You gotta show his tail. His tail. See his tail? Isn't it beautiful? All right, now go. That's what we call it. Whatever. When we have our meetings, everybody, if you ever get to come to one of our meetings, you will die laughing. You will have so much fun. We call Jeremy's kind of tangents. He just goes off on these like random subjects that's like, where did that come from? We call them squirrels. So we'll literally yell out squirrel when we're in the middle of a meeting. And that's for our secretary, Tracy, who types up our meeting notes so that she knows, hey, I don't have to listen to some of this. And we try to not talk about our agenda when we go on a squirrel, because it usually gets hidden beneath everything else. Anybody that's joining me, I'm going to go over this again. We are selling raffle tickets. Raffle tickets for our ghost hunt at the John Brown Raid Headquarters and Chitlin Circuit Building. I'm going to be sharing some of the history information in the coming weeks as we get closer to September. Awesome history. The Chitlin Building has amazing stuff happen. And the John Brown house, actually a psychic at one point ran out of the house. She said she didn't want to go back in. So I'm not sure what she encountered, but that's all we know. So if you go to our website, I will put that up in a little bit. You can purchase a raffle ticket, or 3 or more, how many ever you want. I don't really care how many you buy. You can buy 100 of them for all I care. But you win 2 tickets to that ghost hunt, and that's $100 value. We are selling the tickets $50 a piece because it's such a large location that we can do. Well, and it's two buildings, one night. So moving on, we also are starting to sell tickets tomorrow. The drawing for the raffle will be at 1 p.m. tomorrow. And then, or noon, sorry, noon. It'll be at noon tomorrow, and then the tickets will go on sale at 10 p.m. for the actual ghost hunt. But anyways, the next question, what to do after you have a name for your group? So we're kind of reverting back to some of the stuff that I've already talked about. If you're starting your own paranormal group, which I'm going to step over here a little bit and kind of say, I don't recommend it. I always recommend people to join other groups, because there are so many paranormal groups out there that are active that I'm sure are looking for investigators. Try that first. But if you absolutely have no other groups in your area, you've tried to get on a team and it's not working, and you're starting your own thing, like I said, steps. Read as much as you can. Learn from other people. Go on ghost hunts. Any location you can find. Get to know a bunch of investigators. Do what you can to learn as much as you can. First, when you start a group, I always say have a name, because that is what gets you out there for people to find you. So once you've, figured out a name for your group, figure out your goals. Know what you want to do. I mean, do you want to do private residences? Just remember, when you do a private residence, you are putting yourself in a position where the client will be calling you whenever they have an issue. So you have got to be prepared for being on call for a client at any time. Because even the Warrens, I'm sure, at one point in time, were on call for their clients whenever they needed them. It's a big undertaking to start a paranormal group if you're going to go the route where you're doing private residences, you're going into, cold calling businesses and things like that. It's a lot of responsibility. So know what your goals are. Are you just going to have a meetup group that goes to ghost hunts and pays for ghost hunts? Or, oh, you're welcome, Julie. No problem. I mean, I like sharing my information. And, somebody asked me, I am writing a book. And I said, that's what it's going to be about. It's about, like, getting started. About, the information about what you need to learn. Things you need to know to be a paranormal investigator. How to set up a team. I mean, this is all stuff that's in my head that I'd like just to put it on paper and have everybody be able to see it. I mean, what's it doing in my brain? I need to give it to everybody else too. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge undertaking. So just be aware that, you know, when you do have a team, you've got to be on call. You've got to get the audio reviewed. You have to do the video. You have to have the equipment. You have to be there for your client. Have deadlines, have protocols, have standards, ethics, and morals. You need to know, you know, when you do have a specific case that you don't quite understand, that you need to give it off to somebody else. Like, you know, you go into a location that possibly you may think it's demonic. You know, you got to know that a regular team should not be handling that. You should be contacting a demonologist, somebody who has spent years researching and dealing with cases like that. You don't just do your own stuff. You know, you've got to accept what your limitations are and not exploit your clients for your own gain. That's the pitfall of the fame thing. Making sure that you're not exploiting your client just for more followers. You've got to do the right thing all the time, because people will call you out for it. I had a guy, which, you know, we're in a truce, you know, we buried the hatchet. We didn't agree on things for years, and he, you know, made sure that he could find anything he could on our group to make sure that we towed the line. And he even said after everything, he's like, I could never find anything that you guys did wrong. You dotted your I's, you crossed your T's, you did everything right. So, you know, it was hard for him to find things. He just annoyed me to no end. But, yeah, you know, and it's great now knowing that, you know, we've always tried with APS to be on the up and up. Being on the right side. So, keep drama away. Anyways, so what to do after you have a name for your group? Study, research, experiment. Get some members, good members, because members are, your weakest member is how strong your team is. So if your weakest member does nothing and doesn't show up, then, you know, your group's not going to survive. You've got to make sure that you have guidelines and bylaws and, like I said before, protocols. Know what you're doing. Know what everybody's doing. But does anybody have questions? I love answering questions. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section. I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about with Is It Really Paranormal? Photography. Taking pictures. I know everybody likes to take pictures and the little round balls that are floating around in your pictures. Everybody thinks that they're paranormal. Unfortunately, we cannot take that picture or that orb and put it under a microscope. If it is a spirit, we don't know. Hi, Amy. If it is a piece of dust, we don't know. So basically, it can be explained, but we don't have the tools or the equipment to be able to explain it. So that's the line that we toe in the paranormal field, is that you can't just say something is paranormal simply because it cannot, you know, we can't grab it out of the air and really look at it. Hi, Judy. If it can be explained, you should not use it as paranormal. I can hit my couch and get thousands of those little orby things in my photography. Thousands of them. And yes, some of them look like they have faces in them. I have taken pictures of things just like that. I do photography on the side and I love it. And I've learned how to do manual mode on my DSLR, and it has opened up so many things for me to learn, you know, basic function of the camera, how slowing down the shutter speed could really create light trails. which is awesome. You know, I don't think I've ever shared them on the APS page, but it's really cool to create, like, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, people have those wedding pictures where it looks like they have a one of those isn't that awful? I can't remember the name of it, but they have it going around them in a light trail. Hey Eric, awesome that you're on here. Tascam rules, just so you know. Jeremy uses that. I'm gonna switch subjects a little bit. Jeremy used his DR40, yes, DR40 this weekend. Yes, Rose, sorry. Oh my gosh. You know how you have those moments where you just can't remember names or words? So we used Jeremy's DR40 Tascam recorder this weekend, and it was awesome. That thing works great. I love the fact that when you're recording and you're investigating and something, you know, is loud and you're picking something loud up and nobody's talking, but the red light lights up like something really loud just happened and it's silent. That's awesome. Really enjoyed using that recorder, but I'm hoping to upgrade to DR05 here soon. I use a Sony and I think it's time to upgrade. Oh, you want to hear the stories? Okay. Stories, so I need to switch to stories. Well, I was talking, I posted on Weird Wednesday about the strangest thing that I've ever seen. So I was sitting in the hallway of Ward T at Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. All of us girls, Bobby Sue, if you're still in here, you were sitting there and you were asleep in that hallway. All of us girls were outside of, I don't remember his name, Larry's room, I think is what it is. And all the boys were in that room. They were investigating, and we're sitting in the hallway. And all the girls are asleep but me. And I turn and look down the hallway towards, there's the end of the hall, there's a fan. And I look down, and about halfway down the hall, there is this little girl standing there. And, I mean, most of her, she looked gray. But she had the braids on either side. She had puffy sleeves on what looked like a dress. And I couldn't see below her waistline. It cut off at her waistline. But the weirdest part was she had no facial features. It was blank. It was gray. It was a very, very strange thing to see. But it was like she was there and then she was gone. I have seen several full-bodied apparitions, which is, you know, what everybody wants to see when they investigate. But that was probably one of the coolest. Three of us were investigating, and Trans-Allegheny is where I have most of my experiences, but we were there and we were walking down. I don't remember what ward this is, so don't even ever ask me. I don't remember. All of them, in the beginning, all of them looked the same. We were walking down this one ward and we were just talking about where we would set up. And all of a sudden this door was all the way open. It was opened up against the wall. And as we get like probably 10 feet away from it, the door slowly swings around and closes. I mean, it didn't slam shut. It didn't shut, you know, the latch. It literally, like, the plunger on the latch for the door just kind of bumped the door, the doorway. So it swung all the way around. And we were like, holy crap. I mean, to see a door close like that right in front of your eyes is amazing. It's like, why don't I have a camera on me 24/7? One of my favorites is Still Me. Does that phone ever ring? Oh, yes, Julie, yes. But you know what? Here we go. That's another whole subject. So Julie was actually on one of our ghost hunts at the Masonic Temple. And there are phones all over that building. Everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's a phone. And she actually offhandedly asked if the phone ever rang. And I was like, you know, interestingly enough, no, I've never heard the phone ring here ever. It just so happens there was another paranormal group across the street at Engine 1 investigating. And they prank called the Masonic Temple while we were ghost hunting. And no, it wasn't a friendly prank call. It wasn't like, you know, ah, ha, ha, you prank called us. No, they called 10 times. Every time I would try to answer the phone, I would try to star 69, and no, I could not. None of the phones would allow me to star 69. But then finally, I was with Julie upstairs in the lounge, and the phone rang in the hallway where there's like a little coat hanging area. And I finally got over to the phone and star 69, and it worked, and I found out who it was. And he's actually part of another paranormal group in the area, and he likes to do that kind of stuff. He likes to just make trouble for people, and not everybody sees it because he's, you know, happy-go-lucky. He's humorous. But anyways, moving on. That was not paranormal. That was, in fact, a paranormal fraud trying to be a, excuse my language, asshole that night. So, moving on to another story. I don't know if you've heard of creepers, but Jeremy and Copperhead were kind of the people that coined the term creeper. They are these shadow masses that almost look human, but they crawl. They crawl across the floor, they crawl across the walls, they crawl across the ceiling. And the first place that Jeremy ever saw them was actually in Ward F at Trans-Allegheny, but he's since seen them in other places. He saw them at the temple. So, you know, we try to figure out what possibly they are. We always kind of thought maybe they were like elementals. They were trying to warn us that something was happening. Normally, once he saw them, other things happened in different areas. It was almost like a precursor to other events. And not necessarily because of them. But, yes, it's very like a shadow person. Bobby Sue, I don't remember if it was green eyes or if it was red eyes. But I know they have said, because Jeremy, the last time he saw something, or it might have been Kyle, they saw it in Ward F right by the seclusion cells. So, I don't know what those things are. I haven't seen them. Yes, Amy. To finish off with them, I have not seen a creeper. I have heard them. We were in this one room at the end of Ward F, and there's a brick wall. I can't remember the name of the guy that likes to stay in that room. Tom, maybe? We were in there, and we had a bunch of us in there. Nobody was near the brick wall, but I could hear what sounded like something scratching up the wall, because somebody saw it, I heard it. That was bizarre. All of us girls heard it, but we couldn't see it. It was almost like only the guys could see it. I don't know. It was very bizarre. Touched me, yes. One of the first times I went, so there's a series that I'll go through here. First times I ever went to Trans-Allegheny, they talked about a little girl. Now, I don't know if Lily is real. I know we have gotten lots of audio of a little girl talking. But I felt at one point like this child may be following us. And I had my hands down at my sides. I want to say it was in Ward 4. And bye, Eric. Thanks for stopping by. I was just standing there with my hands at my side, and it felt like something touched my hand. And it wasn't like, you know, a normal person. I mean, usually if somebody touches your hand, you feel the warmth and you feel that connection, but it felt kind of cold and almost like static electricity. It was very, very odd. So, no, they've never hurt me, but I have had lots of experiences of things touching me. We did a private residence in Kemar, and I was sitting, what they call crisscross applesauce now. We always call it Indian style. And something touched my leg. It was a very similar experience. It was cold, and it felt almost like static electricity, like a vibration almost. It was very, very weird. Another time, it was actually in my home. We had a little boy in our house. He was about 12 years old. I was making candles, and I was pulling jars out of a box, and I had my hair in a messy bun. I all of a sudden started feeling something like touch the back, my hairs on the back of my neck, and it felt like it started going up, and it hit my messy bun. It smacked the top of my head and then smacked the back of my head. So I immediately stopped. I mean, I wasn't freaked out because at that point I didn't get freaked out by this stuff anymore. And I just said, look, I know that you're here. And that's fine, but you gotta leave me alone. I'm really busy. And he never bothered me again like that. He never touched me again. But he was really mischievous. Other than that, I can't really say touched, but I mean, we've had members that have had scratches that they couldn't explain. And I mean, these were people that I trusted not to embellish the truth at all, or, you know, fake or fraudulently claim something. And I don't really necessarily put any type of, I don't know, I wouldn't say because it's 3 scratches that it's demonic in nature. I just think that, you know, if something's scratching you, most cases you're going to get, you know, the 3 longest fingers. So who knows? Anybody had any being touched experiences out there? You're welcome to share. And if you have questions, feel free to ask questions. Love questions. Jeremy's had great experiences over the years. I've had a few, but most of them were at Trans-Allegheny. At one of our family's places, I won't say where or which one it is, we were in a kitchen, and we're all sitting around talking and chatting, and their draining tray in their kitchen had a bunch of stuff in it. And I mean, we sat there for a long time. Nobody added anything to it. Nobody took anything out of it. Everything was sturdy, sitting still. And I saw one of the spoons, like, literally go from one side and flip to another. And just sat there. It was like, I immediately looked over at Jeremy and was like, did you just see that? I mean, it's crazy the stuff that happens. And people say that they don't... Oh, she was touched at the path at Sachs Bridge. You'll have to tell me what happened, Chad. That's interesting. I go on that path all the time, and I don't ever feel anything. I mean, sometimes I feel a little... If, like, there's nobody there, I'm always like, I'm out here by myself. Oh, wow. I'd love to go to Rolling Hills. That sounds fantastic. Julie says she's had the hood of her sweatshirt pulled at Rolling Hills. Michelle was pushed down some steps in Bethlehem during investigation. Oh, I'm sure it did. To me, you know, we've had other people in the same area at the Masonic Temple. Kat, who used to be part of the group, she felt like something pushed her. You know, she didn't fall. She grabbed the railing. But she said it, you know, it shook her up pretty bad. Jeremy actually was pushed at the base of those steps, and he was pushed so hard that he actually flipped over. He was a little freaked out after that, which if anybody knows Jeremy, he's kind of unshakable in that way. So, scratched under her arm. Oh, wow. Amy, I do now, if I'm not closed off, and anything, like, if I'm here in the house, I've had things, Sharon, things follow me now because apparently I'm a beacon. They can sense that I can talk to them. So, yes, they don't follow me necessarily, but they find me. Got a black eye. Hi, Buttons. Wow. See, I mean, I haven't really had any experiences where I've gotten bruised or scratched. But when I have been touched, it's always a cold, staticky kind of feel to it. It's very strange. Any other questions? I know other people have had things follow them home. I prefer not. It raised your arms, Rose? Actually physically raised your arms? That's kind of scary. We were talking at our last private, talking about, yeah, talking about incubus and succubus. For some reason, nobody can remember which is which. Succubus is female, incubus is male. Were you standing or were you sleeping, Rose? Any other questions? I love questions. Because I mean, you know, I was talking about, is it really paranormal? Going to like equipment, spirit boxes and ghost boxes. One of the reasons why a lot of people say that they don't, you know, why are you using a broken radio? You really have to listen back to a spirit box or a ghost box a couple times, using your audio, and never, ever, ever, ever put your recorder anywhere near a spirit box. You will go deaf reviewing it. But anyways, you know, listen back to it a couple times, because you have to know what you're listening for. All those crazy short sounds are the radio, but what you're listening for is something in the back of that. It's almost like a deeper communication. Well, it may have been Amy. I know most of my, most of the things that come to me, whether it's information about the living or the dead, I get a lot when I'm sleeping. Yes, Francis, definitely. You know, there's a difference between everything. There's actually getting audio from them manipulating the sound coming through the spirit box. You can get EVPs that are, you know, because of that white noise. But I know, we actually turned a spirit box on at the KOA in Williamsport years and years ago. And we had the spirit box in the living room. So we had recorders around this house, but we were in the living room, which is in the center, and we had a spirit box going. So we caught in another room. I mean, you could hear the spirit box going, but this room, something paced back and forth across this room. It was so bizarre. Like, it was just frustrated that we were using this piece of equipment. I've had a couple people tell me that spirits have said that the spirit box hurts them. So I don't know if that's everybody, you know, all of them it hurts, or if there's just certain spirits that vibrate at a certain frequency that it just, they can't handle it. So really, if you aren't getting anything, turn it off. Use it for a couple minutes, see what happens, turn it off. But just remember, when you're sitting there listening, your perception could influence what you think you're hearing. Even your hearing, like the whole Yanny Laurel thing, you may only hear certain frequencies. So you may not be hearing it from, you know, exactly what it's supposed to be. So re-listen to it. Don't just take it and run with it, because you just don't know if what you're hearing is really what you're hearing. An EVP from a voicemail? No, honestly, I haven't, Melanie. That's a very good question. I'm going to write that down. EVP from a voicemail. You know, I think I've heard other people talk about getting phone calls from people that didn't call them. But, you know, with our... Oh, thanks for stopping in, Michelle. Hi, Donna. I have heard other people talk about, like, getting strange voicemails. Yes, my daughter's watching Gilmore Girls. She never stops watching Gilmore Girls. She just keeps on watching. And she doesn't watch any of the episodes in order. I don't know how she does that. I think she's watched it like 50 times. But yeah, I've heard, like, not, you know, people that have been involved with me. I've just seen, like, articles and stuff where people have said that they've gotten strange phone calls, or, you know, they've been talking to somebody and they hear something in, you know, in the background that's not really there. I think sometimes, though, now, phones these days have this noise canceling ability. So if they are, you could be hearing something that's almost like an echo. it's something to really look into. I know, like recently I was trying to figure out this whole SLS camera thing. I said I wanted to know how it worked. I didn't want to know, you know, what people were getting. I wanted to know its actual, the design of it, how is it supposed to work? So Kenny Biddle stood next to me and told me exactly how the Kinect worked, and then, you know, the Kinect working with that tablet. So it's really cool to know what the equipment is actually, you know, each purpose, how it's supposed to work, and then throwing in the paranormal into that, how the paranormal can influence it. But knowing how the equipment works from the get-go, how it's supposed to be used, is a really good idea. It could be Sharon's astral traveling. I do that a lot, I think. Hey, Rachel. The owner team says she's got EVPs against her on walkie-talkie. Ah, EVPs on walkie-talkie. I don't know. That's one of the hard ones because, you know, anybody can be on a two-way radio. You can get bleed over from other, you know, other channels. So that one's a tough one. I think we all have to be a little bit more, you know, stand back and kind of say, what could influence this first before we say like, oh, hey, it could be this. Now, I know recently when we were at the warehouse, was it the warehouse? It may have been somewhere else. But we were talking back and forth on the two-ways and clearly heard like a little girl in the background. But, I mean, if you have it keyed up and you're listening, you know, or the other person has it keyed up and you're listening, I don't know that they can bleed over. That's a good question. Bleed over once it's actually keyed up. That's something I'm going to write down because I like to know these kind of things. But again, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so much can influence those things. You know, I'm not sure. We've never really used anything like that, but I'd say we have heard stuff come across that was strange, but I don't know. I'll have to look that up. It's interesting. I just have a couple more minutes left. I haven't fixed dinner yet, so I can't go on for 2 hours tonight. I can only do an hour. Anybody have any other questions or anything? Want to talk? Oh. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Bye, Chad. So to finish it out, I'm actually gonna just go over some things. Buy a raffle ticket. Remember, all the proceeds go to the John Brown Historical Foundation, and that is a $100 value. You get 2 tickets if your name is drawn. You can purchase tickets tomorrow. These raffle tickets will be pulled at noon tomorrow, and then tickets will be available for sale at 10 p.m. tomorrow night. Hi, Katie. What else? If you have questions, if you have comments, throw them in the comment section. If you have any suggestions on topics, go ahead and throw them in there. I'm going to be sharing a lot more information on the page about our upcoming events. The next thing that comes available is our Oddfellows ghost hunts, which are in October. Those tickets go on sale in July, so everybody has plenty of opportunity to make plans. Like I said, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to share this video. And come check out next week. Again, if you have topic suggestions, please, oh, Julie, please put any suggestions for topics in the comments. I definitely, I love the questions and things like that, so anything that you have, throw it out there for me. But I'm going to end it tonight. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. We had a really good group joining me tonight, so I will talk to you guys later. Bye!